Sorry, friends, about that.
Switch the camera. This is on a really weird angle.
Yeah, but it's,
Just real quick, let's just do a quick check.
you have to turn those lights on to see it.
Okay, no, that's you. It's lined up. Sure looks like it's lined up. Yeah.
He doesn't know what time is coming, just sometime.
So can everybody out there hear me?
Yes, Bhante.
Okay. Okay, friends, so let's go ahead and begin by reciting the Namo Tassa and the three refuges for those who like to join. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. So friends, welcome to this Wednesday evening's Dhamma discussion and meditation practice. I'm just going to look at see what's in the, okay, never mind. It's in the chat box. Okay, this evening I want to continue on going over part 2 of the transcript that I gave at a retreat a few weeks ago. And last week we covered the first part of that, which is talking about the importance of becoming centered in the body as the first stage of meditation. And this week, the part 2 is how to then cultivate the rest of the steps of the Eightfold Path, and using right understanding and right thought to help to reflect on and continue to develop the right speech, right action, right livelihood, in daily life. So I'm going to share the screen as I did last week. Hopefully it comes out okay. Okay, I always run into this problem. I'm not sure. It's not me. What have I done now? No, I'm stuck on.
Just close that window.
I'm trying to get my,
It's open if you.
Oh, the top.
sorry friends about that.
Go to the top. Switch the camera.
I always have this problem. Sorry, friends. These technical issues. You know, this happens every week for some reason. Okay, turn the lights on to see it.
Okay, no, that's you. It's lined up. Sure looks like it's lined up.
How do I get the print bigger now?
Yeah, click on, right click. Let's see. Command plus. Control Alt.
Okay. Okay, friends, so we're going to go over this. I'm going to read over part of this. So the beginning of the practice of Dhamma, the start to the journey is right understanding. If you don't know how to do something, out there hear me? Normally you have to do some research. Now everybody's using AI and doing deep dives and finding out
Bhante.
all this information. Okay. Usually the first way you learn is by either reading books. Okay, friends, so let's go ahead and begin by reciting the Namo Tassa and the three refuges for those who like
Top right.
to join.
Click that and click the pause.
No, this is already
button.
Namo Tassa.
Click it and don't not go back up. Don't touch that. Go back to your tab. There you go.
Again, sorry, friends, for all this technical interruptions. Okay. So again, the way most people hear about the Dhamma is reading books or hearing talks on the subject. And that may prick your interest. Hey, that sounds interesting. That sounds pretty cool. Karma, yeah, cool. That sounds doable. Sparks your interest to actually start practicing. But how many people have gotten initially interested in something just by hearing something mentioning or reading a book or an article or hearing a talk once, and they say, oh yeah, that's I'm going to try that. And then 30 minutes later, what did that person say? They basically pretty much forget it. Or they get caught up in their daily lives and, they never bother, getting back to it or continuing with it, at least at that time. That's why there are gradual levels of understanding. The initial intellectual understanding comes first. Then the deeper understanding that comes through reflection on what you've read and thinking about it, what you read or heard. That's why right thought is the second step of the Eightfold Path. You hear about the law of karma. Oh, karma, yeah, that sounds cool. But then you have to think about it. Go back in your life. What happened when you told a lie? Did you worry about getting caught? Did you lose some sleep? Mother and father were going to find out you stole a cigarette from them. Again, I'm talking from my own experience. By the way, we suffer a lot worrying, having fear and worry or remorse from things that we've done. Normally people don't like to think about it, but that's reflection on the Dhamma. It makes more sense. And you realize every single thing you've done had some kind of an effect on you. It's no longer just a pie in the sky belief, karma. Oh, karma, karma, karma. Everybody's talking about karma. Now it believes something real that you can relate to. That's the gradual accumulation of that right understanding. And basically it's right understanding of the Four Noble Truths. It goes from just intellectual head understanding down into the heart. That in turn increases your desire to practice more. Finally, after a long time of practicing meditation, integrating the other steps of the Eightfold Path, you begin to have deep insights. This refers to the aha moments, the insights that lead to overcoming doubts and attaining the path and the fruits. So right understanding kind of helps you to start practicing sila. As you see that your guilt, worry, remorse, and fear lessen by following the precepts, people stop blaming you so much. After 6 months or so, a lot of that weakens. Oh yeah, okay, that's right. Yeah, I'm not so worried anymore. I'm not, You have these so many negative thoughts. If you broke one and you see the effect of it, you can see that connection. It'll motivate you to practice even more of the precepts. So right understanding has those three levels of understanding. Then there's right thought, which is thinking about the right understanding. As I've mentioned, there are four levels of right thought. The thought of lightening up your life, not having so many things that burden your life, unnecessary things, which is also called the thought of renunciation. It doesn't mean becoming a monk or a nun necessarily. It just means lightening up your life so it's not so burdensome. Instead of having 10 cats to worry about, grieve when they die, only have 2 or 3. Instead of having 50 houseplants that don't allow you to go on a retreat because you have to hire somebody to water them, break it down to a few. You know what I mean? Get my drift? Okay. You had a big house when you had 3 or 4 or 5 kids. Now you're an empty nester. Sell the house, downsize, make your life less burdened. That's this aspect of the thought of how nice it would be not to be so burdened, to have more time to go on vacations or go on retreats. And the thought of non-ill will. Some people have all this anger and hatred build up and resentment. You're always criticizing everybody. It's a pretty yucky state. Even if you've been there yourself for some periods of time and you overcome that, you see how freeing that is not to be burdened by ill will towards people holding grudges and ill will, people that don't agree with you or have hurt you in one way or another. And that goes together with the third right thought about the thought of non-cruelty. And non-cruelty is basically like compassion, not wanting to cause suffering to others. So these three things, greed, hatred, and delusion, these are all connected with those three types of right thought. The thought of non-greed, the thought of non-ill will, and the thought of non-cruelty. So you can actually think about this in your daily life, especially when you see other people doing that, being cruel, whether it's through speech and other things, or people, doing that to you. It motivates you to, practice it yourself. Now you have right view and right thought. Now what are you going to do? You have to, practice right speech. That means clean up your speech. And anyway, before we get into that, some of you have heard this kind of personal experience that I had with the aspects of transitioning from intellectual understanding to right thought. So when I was young, planning a trip to go to India, wanted to have fun and games on the hippie trail to India, I had heard about from all the American and European hippies who are coming back from India telling me all these great stories that happened along the way. In Afghanistan and India, trekking in the Himalayas, living naked on the beach in Goa, smoking all the best hashish. Oh yeah, that interested me. So after I got out of the army, I decided that's what I'm going to do. So I saved some money in the army, and then I was going to go to India. I took a course in world religions because at that time you couldn't fly directly to India from America. You had to go through Europe. This wasn't one flight. You had to take 2 or 3 flights. So I took a course in world religions because I wanted to learn something about the religions of the different countries I would go through. I thought about going through Israel, working on a kibbutz for a while, learn something about that, then going to some Middle East Muslim countries, then through India to where Hinduism and Buddhism was. At the end of the course, or near the end of that course in world religions, we had to write a term paper on the religion that interested us the most. And I chose Buddhism. I don't really know why. With just a little book that I read in a textbook. In those days, this was 1970, 71, there were hardly any temples in this country, hardly any books to buy on Buddhism. I had to go to the library where there was about 2 or 3 books on Buddhism in a big library only. And I wrote a paper on it. A teacher wrote on, she was impressed with my knowledge of Buddhism. 10 years later, I found it in the attic when I came back from Asia and read it and said, oh, this is kid stuff. Anyway, so that course pricked my interest, and I read about the Four Noble Truths. I read about karma, about rebirth, about suffering, about meditation. Wow, 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 I was saying. How come I haven't heard about this before? No one else is talking about this. I didn't hear my mother or father talking about this. Where's this been? So I got excited about it. But after the course, there were no temples to go to. No one knew anything. There was no internet. Buddhism was just a cult in most Americans' eyes. They had no idea what it was, except for seeing burning monks in Vietnam self-immolating themselves. And that was usually a negative thing. It wasn't seen as anything good, where it was seen as kids were getting brainwashed in different cults in those days. So quickly I forgot about what I had read. And the excitement I got about, reading that, about the Dhamma. So I quickly forgot about it, was planning my trip to Asia. I, was going to parties and getting stoned and all that. So right understanding didn't do me any good at that time. I didn't go on thinking about it. I didn't go on reflecting about it. Of course, later on, a year and a half later, once I got to India, having survived a month in prison in Afghanistan, I was lucky to get out with my life. I realized I got to do something. My head was clouded from all the drugs and stuff. I got to clean out, but I didn't know how. I was on my way to Nepal to go trekking in the Himalayas. Up there in the Himalayas, I was sitting down by a river and somebody came down and sat down and started talking about meditation. I heard that word meditation, and I said, that's what I got to do. I remembered the talk about meditation from that course also. I had actually practiced a little bit of transcendental meditation in 1971. Very popular in America then. I paid my $35 student discount, got my mantra. And before I took this course in world religion, I knew there was something to meditation, but I wasn't prepared to go whole hog with it. So I went to this meditation course in Tibetan Buddhism where we practiced all three aspects of wisdom. We had a book, we read a chapter in the book, and the Lama would give a lecture on the content of that chapter. And then we had to sit down and meditate and reflect and think about what we read. It wasn't anapanasati, it was thinking meditation. Memorizing 4 of this and 7 of that things, 4 Noble Truths, 8-Fold Path, memorizing. And then thinking about it, as I mentioned. And that combination really seemed to work. At the end of that course, all I wanted to do was become a monk and really get into meditation. I had a very powerful experience. I'm just saying that to show the connection between just intellectual understanding and having to back that up with thinking and contemplating about it so it sinks down again more from just ricocheting around in your brain to something more deeper interest. So even in meditation, as we did, using meditation, you could think about a topic while you're sitting down, reading a newspaper, drink a cup of coffee, and the cat is jumping up in your lap. You could be thinking about something, but it's not going to go very deep. But when you're sitting still in meditation, have quieted the mind, do some deep breathing, and then you start, oh yes, the 4 Noble Truths, 3 levels of suffering, okay, karma, your mind is a little bit clearer. Now you can think about some of these connections and the cause and effect things that have gone on without being interfered with by going to sleep, or the types of negative thoughts. That's also the connection between using thinking while you're in a state of meditation when the mind is clear. It goes a lot deeper. And coming back now to right understanding and right thought, part of right thought is about thinking about the law of karma too. It's not limited to just those 3 types of right thought that I talked about earlier, but it's thinking about the Dhamma in general. Think back to when you told your best friend's secret and they found out. You suffer on account of that, having told lies, having flipped somebody the finger, or other kinds of negative actions, abuse somebody with the body, or just even harboring negative thoughts toward people, hatred, anger, how it can make you sick, how it does affect your body. Then you practice the precepts, right speech and right action. Cover the 5 precepts. 5 precepts are like having a policeman in your mind. Let's say you're in a city, All of a sudden, electricity goes out. Everybody's coming to the street lights that are out, and there's no one there. So everybody's making illegal turns, cutting people off, speeding. But then a cop comes out and stands in the middle, and everybody stops and obeys as long as the policeman is there. When the policeman goes for lunch, then everybody does it again. So normally people don't have a policeman in their mind, a conscience, because they're just acting off their impulses. Somebody says something to you, or a mosquito lands on you, and you scratch yourself, and draw blood and say that word, excuse me. You reflect on these things and you see how following the precepts helps to reduce a lot of unnecessary suffering, especially mental suffering in your life, but physical too, because people are going to come after you to stab you or shoot you if you told a lie or slept with your girlfriend or boyfriend or stole something. People normally don't stop and think about that because they're under the influence of these impulses, passions, and quick satisfaction. They don't think about the long-term consequences of what they're doing. That's why for right speech, the Buddha advised even his son Rahula, whenever you're about to do something or say something, you should think to yourself, what I'm about to do now, is it going to be harmful for myself or for others or both? If you see it would be, then don't do it. Even if you started while you were doing it, or you catch yourself, then reflect, is what I'm doing right now going to be harmful for myself or others or both? Then stop it. If you went through the whole thing and did that, reflect afterwards, now is this going to bring me pain and suffering? There's a good chance of it. And there and then you determine not to do it again. This is how the Buddha advised his son Rahula, who later quite quickly became an arhat. So that's the way that we have to reflect. Use those reflections before we do something or say something or even think. Normally we don't have the ability to do that because we're unmindful. That's why practicing the precepts is normally not successful unless you develop mindfulness, at least some degree of mindfulness, and some degree of being more centered. That's why in the Eightfold Path, after right speech and right action, there's right livelihood. Earning your living in a way that wouldn't cause you to break any of those precepts, either directly or indirectly. We know now that in this day and age, it's hard to find a job even that somehow doesn't cross the line in terms of crooked business practices, not telling the whole truth about products or even in medicines and so on. Everything is so money-based. Just because of that, people are subject to telling lies, not revealing the truth, all kinds of deceptions. It's easier just to do that, but then you have to suffer the consequences and harm so many other people also. I don't like to be political, but anybody been watching the news the last couple of weeks, even our president is now worrying about going to hell. How many have read that? I came across that because I look at the internet sometimes just to get an idea of what's happening for Dhamma talks. He was saying, I got to make this peace between Ukraine and Russia. If I can, maybe I'll get a ticket into heaven, he says. I've been thinking about that lately, and I really want to go to heaven, but I know I haven't been so cool. So he's worried about that. That's a good thing, but I don't think it's going to help him. Excuse me. I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I might get shot. It's pretty crazy out there in the world. Okay, so practicing the livelihood and the precepts. You can go home at night and say, before you go to sleep, I haven't hurt a flea. I didn't tell any lies. I didn't speak badly to anybody. I didn't do anything else that would break any of those precepts. So you can sleep and have a good night's sleep. That's valid right livelihood. Especially for younger people who have their life before them and are thinking about what to do. They really have to think carefully about it. Not be driven just by the money factor. As the Beatles song went, money can't buy you love. Money can't buy you happiness. It's only your free consciousness that's going to buy you anything you would consider a deep level of well-being. So in order to accomplish all those things, that's why the last 3 steps of the Eightfold Path are right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Right effort is the effort to abandon negative, unwholesome states and the ability to create wholesome states that you may not have developed fully yet. You have to be mindful when they arise, and you have to mindfully let go of the negative states, and then ideally substitute the negative states with the wholesome, the opposite wholesome states. Let's say you're entertaining a thought of revenge about some person that hurt you. Instead, even though it's painful, think, may they be well and happy. Substitute those negative thoughts for more wholesome ones. Because if they were well and happy, they wouldn't do things to cause us suffering. People do things to cause us suffering because they themselves are not truly well and happy in their own minds. And going out of your way to cultivate those wholesome qualities, such as learning how to get up in the morning and meditate, rather than just sleep in an extra 30 minutes. Because that extra 30 minutes of meditation is going to be more rejuvenating and refreshing and worthwhile than an extra half an hour of sleep in most cases. You wake up and do a few yoga stretches. Get the molecules vibrating. You overcome that sleepiness very quickly to meditate. The 8 steps of the Eightfold Path are depicted as a wheel, the Dharma wheel. I think you've all seen the Dharma wheel, the 8-spoke Dharma wheel. It's like a bicycle wheel. If you have a bicycle that has some broken spokes and you get on to ride, the ride is going to be kind of wobbly. If you ride it long enough, it may just collapse on itself. In the same way, if some of those steps of the Eightfold Path are not developed or are kind of weak, or not strengthened, then they help, if they're strengthened evenly, they help support each other. And that wheel will roll evenly to the goal. Right understanding is supporting right thoughts. And that understanding of the Dhamma then helps you to practice Sila, that means right speech, right action, right livelihood. Practicing Sila helps you to gain concentration and develop more mindfulness. And through concentration, you gain that wisdom. So the practice of meditation has 3 levels: mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. We've already been talking about mindfulness, which means learning how to bring your mind into the present moment. Be aware of what your body is doing. Be aware of what kind of thoughts are going through your mind, being aware of the hindrances. When you notice yourself in meditation get sleepy, just don't sit there for the rest of the hour, like the bobbing duck you see in the back of people's cars. Stand up, take some deep breaths. Try to overcome that sleepiness. But sleepiness feels so good because the pain temporarily kind of goes away and your thoughts go away. So people, like to kind of sleep, but it's a dead end. You have to use right effort to try to get out of that sleepiness by standing up, going out for a walk, splashing some water on the face, doing a few yoga stretches, doing some walking meditation. So developing mindfulness of the body is one of the most worthwhile practices because it doesn't really entail sitting for long periods and trying to ignore the world, so to speak. It's not just sitting still on a cushion, it's learning how to be mindful in your actions. An example, if you have an itch on your head, most people would probably just go ahead like that real quick and scratch. Next time you get one instead, a mindful person would then be aware that, okay, there's an itch arising. It's an unpleasant sensation. Don't get excited, it's no big deal. Don't rush. Just watch it. If you decide you want to get rid of it after tolerating it for 30 seconds, then at least do it mindfully. Don't rush. Mindfully lifting, stretching, scratching, and being aware of what you're doing. And just before you do that, and before you would have, scratched, it might disappear by itself, or the fly disappeared. Then you lower your arm. So we waste a lot of energy during the day doing a lot of movements when we don't really need to. I'll tell you another story. When I was a young gung-ho monk in my first couple of years in Sri Lanka, I was living in austere places out in the open. I was meditating under the eaves of a temple. I was meditating and all of a sudden I felt something fall on my ear. Something long going around my ear. I thought, what is that? I said, it's nothing, just feeling. Because I was practicing the 4 foundations of mindfulness. I was just saying, okay, thinking. Now don't worry about it. but then it started munching, felt like somebody was actually chewing on my ear. Started munching my ear. Then it started to get red hot. I was just trying to relax. Okay, it's no big deal. I was just saying, feeling. And there was a man who lived near the temple. That place where it had a little tea shop. This man used to bring me hot tea in the morning. I would get up at 5 in the morning, meditate for an hour, then go on Pindapata. The man came to bring me my hot tea in the morning. As he got near, he looked at my ear and shouted, "Oh, Hamduro." That's a word for a monk in Sinhalese. He was trying to get my attention, as this thing was eating my ear. He saw what it was. Then I came to the conclusion, I better check this out. But slowly, I didn't rush. I slowly lifted my arm, and a big, long, hairy centipede, about 10 inches long, a red one, was raised off, and I kind of flicked it off, but I was doing it slowly. And then that man came over and saw my ear was all red. He ran home. He was living I was in Unawatuna, a place that's famous for herbs. These people knew about herbs. He went home and made a potion, potus out of herbs, mashed them up, mixed it with some other stuff, and brought back a potus and put it on my ear. It was cooled some of the fire. After about 30 minutes, it drew the poison out. Now, I just said that as an example about how you can learn to observe pain and remain more calm and relaxed. It happened another time with a scorpion, same kind of thing, and the same guy came and put a potus on my finger, and it drew the poison out. But I wasn't afraid to live in those places because it was a challenge, overcome fear. And don't say that to make other people afraid. Never going up there, there's too many bugs and stuff. And you limit yourself to a lot of experience. Okay, so the Eightfold Path is the practice of weakening those elements in our mind, those habit patterns that keep our mind in a narrow state and contracted around the ego. Coming back to these realizations, the wisdom that comes from meditation is understanding the 3 characteristics. I mentioned the 5 aggregates. I didn't fully go into them, but that's what we cling to. And those aggregates are always changing. Actually, the feelings and perceptions, these are the memories in the mind that actually keep our mind caught in habits. And so then I told the famous avocado story. I think you've all heard it, so I'm not going to repeat it now. You can read it if you're interested to read this, but I don't want to take up too much more time. Okay? So you advise you to read the rest of this if you're interested. So that's where the meditation comes in. Meditation helps you develop a deeper level of awareness. Our thoughts and feelings, the aggregates, they just arise and pass away from moment to moment, and without reacting to them. We can help to stay more mindful and concentrated. So anyway, I advise you to read the rest of this, so I think this much will suffice. So friends, now I'm going to stop this sharing the screen and see if any of you have any questions that you might like to ask. So feel free to ask any questions about, just about any of those things I talked about, or the practice of the mindfulness in general. Some of you may have already heard some of those stories in retreats. Anybody have any questions? You can raise your, the golden hand if you like. Okay, if nobody has any questions, and
I can ask a question.
who is that?
I'm Puya. I'm up here, and I just wanted to know what's a good um, diet for meditate for the mind. Like, is there a special diet that's good for the mind for keeping the mind stable, peaceful, and at ease? That's wouldn't like something like caffeine is like so hyperactive. Is there anything else to avoid and things to try to eat more of, drink more of?
Well, it depends on who you ask. I mean, everybody's going to give you their different opinions, and even people that eat meat and not vegetarians, some of them might have very good meditations too. It's hard to really say, but generally, it's not about the kind of food you eat, it's about your attitude toward it and eating mindfully and not overeating. And, try intermittent fasting, what they call intermittent fasting, which has become popular now. But, some people can drink a lot of coffee and not be affected by it. Others, so people are affected by different things. So there's not one kind of basic diet. But because, supposed to be practicing metta and compassion, that's why I've chose to be a vegetarian. And there's other, benefits that can be said from that too. Not by being a vegetarian, then you're not committing to the demand of, raising and killing animals to slaughter. So that's one idea. Plus the way animals are slaughtered too. There's a lot of things going on with that are, maybe not so good. But it's the attitude of the mind really. And you listen to your own body after you've eaten stuff. How do you feel after that? If you get wired up with drinking coffee and stuff, then don't drink it. Try to eat more organic stuff. We know now, of course, there's so many processed foods we buy are processed, and people are getting sick. So many diseases now are attributed back to processed foods and, the junk foods and all these sort of things. So I would say just, try to follow, what's normally considered nowadays a healthy diet, and listen to your own body. But again, it's important is to eat mindfully, eat slowly, and digest better for digestion, and not to overeat. And especially if you're overweight, it's good to lose weight because you'll feel better in meditation without carrying so much unnecessary weight around. So those are my kind of thoughts about that.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Bhante, this is Andrew.
Andrew. Hello, Andrew.
Yeah, I'm in the car driving, so my camera is off. Can you explain mindfulness and how to be mindful? We talk a lot about being mindful of the body, mindfully doing this, but practically, how do you keep mindful state and what to do for it?
That's why mindfulness of the body is mindfulness means being aware of the present moment, what your body is doing and what your mind is doing. But it's hard to know what your mind is doing if you can't even feel your body or be more in the present moment. That's why I always talk about mindfulness of the body. It's always with you. And just to remember, it means remember. So if you can remember that you're sitting, when you start thinking, you'll remember that, and now I'm thinking now. Or I'm thinking this kind of a thought now. This is the thought of desire. Let me try to let go of that. Or this is the thought of ill will. So that the habit of always reminding yourself of what you're doing, and by moving the body more slowly, will help you to see when you're starting to get carried away in thoughts or reactions. That's how you do it. People always want something else. No, there's no way else. I'm sorry.
Right, but to practice mindfulness, if you're not like not during the meditation, but during just regular day activities. For example, if I especially don't keep this watchful state, I'm losing it, and I'm totally absorbed in whatever activities I'm doing. Is there a way of practicing to increase this?
Yes, stop every hour for 1 minute, put a beeper on your watch, set your watch or some other thing that's going to ring every hour, maybe every 30 minutes to remind you, oh, yes, to stop what you're doing. Yeah, that's right. We get caught up in what we're doing and we lose that mindfulness. So it's good to have a reminder. Those M&Ms are really a very worthwhile thing to cultivate. And you can do it more than just once an hour. You can do it every 15 minutes, and just stopping just to take 1 or 2 deep breaths, tell yourself to relax, recenter, just so that you create that habit. I think that's one of the best ways, really. But you have to get reminded. And so setting a reminder. Or you get a talking parrot and teach them how to say, be mindful, stop.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Geraldine, you have a question?
Hi, Bhante, can you hear me?
Is that Geraldine?
Yes, Bhante, can you hear me? Sorry, I'm driving. I can't switch on the video too. I wanted to ask, for the practice of mindfulness of body and mind, if we are like really doing nothing very much, do we have to keep being aware of our body and mind the whole time?
Not the whole time, try 50%.
Try 50%.
Usually we're not,
Okay.
we're aware maybe 5% or 10%.
Okay, that's all I want to know. Thank
You're
you so
not going
much.
to be perfect at these things, but so, try 50%. It'll work wonders.
All right. Thank you, Bhante.
Okay. Maven, you have a question?
Teronsare Bhante, this is Mevan's wife, Gayatri.
Oh, Maven, okay, yeah.
Yes, I have a question regarding the 8 precepts. I try to follow as many days as possible, but there's a confusion for the last one where you have to refrain from sitting on comfortable and high chairs, beds. We have a king size bed, and sometimes some people say no, it doesn't matter. But some people say it does matter. The bed is pretty high, about 3.5 feet tall, and pretty wide. What do you think of that? Am I breaking that precept? Or
Don't observe those 8 precepts. Follow the 8 lifetime precepts. Those precepts are people staying in monasteries and meditation centers, not for people to live by, for lay people really to live by, because it'll cause a lot of problems within one's family and things like that. I mean, you could, of course, but low beds are better. If you roll off the bed, you may not break your arm if the bed is low to the ground, but if it's 3 feet off the ground and you roll off of it, you might break your arm. So there's some practical things to consider too. Now, I'm not saying this to make light of it, but really the 8 for lay people, especially if you have to live with others, following the 8 lifetime precepts, which don't include not eating at night or, being more austere, but just be mindful.
I do that on all other days, but at least 4 times a month, I try to follow the 8 precepts, the one I was talking about.
You put a mattress on the floor and sleep on the floor.
I tried, but no one says no.
Well, see, that's the thing. If you live with other people, you have to find the middle path. Otherwise, you create problems. That's why the Buddha said that those 8 monastic precepts are for monastics. or when you're living in a monastery doing a retreat where it's going to help you to concentrate better.
Thank you.
Like refraining from watching shows and singing and dancing
Mhm.
and any sexual contact, because if you do that during a retreat, your mind will not be able to concentrate.
Mhm. Thank you,
Okay.
Bhante.
Okay. Okay, friends, I think maybe any last question? Poe, you have a question? Raised hand? Poe, go ahead. Poe?
There are chat questions also, Bhante.
Poe, are you out there? Okay, looks like we lost Poe. Okay, friends, so let's go ahead and take a little break.
There
Few
are
minutes break.
questions in the chat, Bhante.
What?
Chat questions.
The only thing I see is that I can't hear you. I think the YouTube video is playing in the background. Oh, one new one. Would responding harshly online to harsh critics of Buddhism constitute malicious speech? Well, it depends on what it is, you know. And malicious speech is usually slandering others, or if it's harsh speech. Whatever you do, it has to be constructive. So it depends on, you know, what it is that you're doing. You have to do it with, you know, out of compassion and, you know, not to, you know, use harsh speech or, you know, things like that. People are going to say a lot of things. There's no point in criticizing them, you know. Especially online, people that spend their whole life on all these media things and websites, just trying to create arguments with people and stuff like that. Is consciousness the same as absolute reality? Actually, this is interesting. Next week, I'm going to be talking about consciousness. So maybe we'll cover that then. Consciousness is a very big subject. It's beyond consciousness. Is absolute reality is beyond consciousness. But we have to be conscious in order to get there. Okay? Okay, friends, so let's. Poe, did you ever come back? Okay. Okay, friends, so let's take a short break, come back to do some yoga stretches, and then have our meditation. Thank you.
Is consciousness the same as absolute reality? Consciousness is beyond absolute reality. This is the topic he's going to talk about later in one of his talks.
මේ අර ඒ අදන් ආයස් සුවේද මාස්ටර්ස් එකක් කරලා තිබුණා කොන්ෂස්නස් එක ගැන. එයා බුද්දිස්ට් ස්ටඩීස් කර ඉන්නකොට
Nisanka, why don't you mute yourself, please?
Yes, okay. Okay, Bhante, sorry. I wanted to ask the question which you answered. So
Showtime. Okay, friends, so try to stand straight, relax your shoulders and arms at the sides. Just keep your chin lifted up level to the floor. Gently close your eyes. Focus on your feet pressing the floor. And from the floor, just let the awareness rise up through the body and feel your legs, your fingers, arms, close touching the skin. Feel your head balanced on top of the neck. Feel your eyes in the sockets. From that point on the eyes, try to feel the outline of the standing body. The head on top, arms at the sides, clothing touching the skin, feet pressing the floor. Then begin some deep, slow breathing. Drawing the air from the lower lung up to the top. Feel that expansion in your upper chest. Hold the air in for 2 seconds. Slowly breathe out. Feel the last bit of air go out. And take several more deep, slow breaths like that. Bringing the mind into the body. Developing this mindfulness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Hold the breath. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Holding the breath. Breathing out, standing here and now. Feel the last bit of air go out. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Now we'll combine this breathing with these movements as we've done before. So on the next in-breath, raise the arms over the head, interlock the fingers, turn the palms up, straighten the arms, stretch the head back, stretch upwards, and release your fingers in the out-breath, arms back to the sides, feel the air go out as your arms come down. Again, in-breath. Stretch up, bend back a little bit, feel the arch in the spine, feel the sensations. Out breath, feel the air going out of the lungs. Once more, in. Stretch up, bend back a little more. Out breath. Relax. Just close the eyes. Keep feeling the body. Don't let the mind get carried away in thought. Just feel your feet pressing the floor. Remember standing, standing, standing. So feel the outline of the body in the mind's eye. Letting go of your thoughts. And the next in breath, lift up on the balls of the feet while raising the arms over the head. In this way, facing the hands toward each other, stretch up. Out breath, come back down. Feel the air go out as the arms come down. Use the in-breath to help lift up the body. Stretch. Out. Once more, in. Stretch. Out. Close the eyes, relax. Keep feeling the body, the increased sensation. Clothing touching the skin, pulsations, maybe some aches or pains, itchy sensation. More sensations you can feel, less time to get lost in thoughts. Remember standing, standing, standing. Next we'll do the side bending using both arms. So on the in-breath, raise both arms up. You keep your fingers and arms straight, close to your head. On the out-breath, bend over the right side as far as you comfortably can. Keep the arms parallel to each other. In-breath, lift up. Then the other side, out-breath. In-breath up. And then to the right, out-breath. In, out, in, once more to each side. In the out-breath, lower the arms. Close the eyes. Keep feeling the body. Head on top, arms at the sides, clothing touching the skin, feet pressing the floor. Try to hold that outline of the standing body in the mind's eye. Remember standing, standing. It's feeling those subtle life force vibrations, being the activated cells and molecules charged up with oxygen, vibrating, interacting, producing all these sensations. And next we'll do the knee bending or squatting. So in the next in-breath, lift up on the balls of the feet and raise the arms up front for balance. On the out breath, bend the knees and lower down, balancing on the balls of the feet. Come down as far as you can, squatting position. Take a deep breath, feel the muscles in the legs pushing the body up. Out. In. Out. In. Out breath, relax. Feel the increased heartbeat, other pulsations. Clothing touching the outer skin. Prickly, itchy sensation. Any pain. It's present moment, body-centered awareness. A natural resting place for consciousness. Present moment awareness. Now spread your legs and feet apart, about 3 feet. Holding the arms out at the sides, we'll do twisting from right to left. We'll breathe in. On the out breath, twist to the right. Let your feet turn with the body. Keep your eyes focused on the hand going back. In breath, back to the front. Let the feet turn with the body. Twist to the left side. In. And to the right, out breath. In. And once more to each side. And come back to the front, relax. Feel each foot pressing the floor. Feel increased breathing, heart beating, clothing touching the skin. It's present moment, body-centered awareness. Okay, now bring the legs back together. Keep the feet a few inches apart. Okay, we'll do the head turning from right to left. On the in-breath, turn the head to the right. Look over your right shoulder. the out breath, turn the head all the way back to the left, to look over the left shoulder. In breath to the right. Out left. Once more to each side. On the in-breath, let the head stop in the center. Keep feeling the body. All those life force vibrations. Okay, just one last exercise, the backward and forward bending. Just be careful with the back bend, not to bend back too far the first time. Turn the palms outward so your little fingers touch together. On the in-breath, raise the hands up, level to the eyes, and spread the arms out to the side as you bend back on the out-breath. In-breath, carefully lift up, keep the arms out at the sides, and on the out-breath, lower the arms and hands down towards the floor. Try to keep your legs straight. Let the little bones in the lower spine stretch out. Begin lifting up. Turn the palms outward again. In breath, lift the hands up. Out breath, arms out to the sides, bend back. In breath, up. Out breath, downward stretch. Once more, in, out. In. Third time, try to hold a downward stretch longer. Let the little bones in the lower spine stretch out. Carefully begin standing up. Breathe in, bring the hands together at the chest. In the out breath, feel the whole body vibrating, pulsating, activated life force awareness. Okay, so now let's mindfully come back to our seats, get ready for the sitting. Okay, friends, let's try to sit straight. Try to feel the natural inward curve of the lower spine. Feel your head balanced on top. Just keep the chin level with the floor. Gently close your eyes. Just mentally feel that outline of the sitting body. And begin some deep, slow breathing, cultivating this mindfulness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Hold the breath a second. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Now we're going to count the breaths from 1 to 10. Develop a more continuous concentration on the breathing. I'll do the counting for you. Just try to follow that with your breathing and concentration. So with the next expanding in breath, mentally count to 1. Hold the air in a second. And with the contracting out breath, also count to 1. Feel the last bit of air go out. The next in breath, 2. Out breath, 2. In 3. Out 3. In 4. Out 4. In 5. Out 5. in 6, out 6, in 7, out 7, in 8, out 8, in 9, out 9, in 10, out 10. As the breath goes out, discontinue the counting. Let the breathing return to its uncontrolled, shorter, irregular rhythm. Continue to feel it. Keep your attention focused on the residual, shorter, expanding and contracting sensation of your abdomen, rib cage, your chest. Let's make that the primary focus of your concentrated mindful concentration. Just knowing when the breath is coming in and knowing when the breath is going out. You know it by feeling it, feeling those sensations. To help stay focused, you can use these brief mental reminders. In sitting, out, sitting, in sitting, out, sitting. It's the ongoing, continuous connection to the present moment, this breathing body. Try to tune into the 4 phases of each breath cycle. Expanding in breath, the brief pause. The contracting out breath in the brief pause. Just over and over and over again. If you still have lots of thoughts, you can combine this breathing and counting with the counting. Otherwise, just continually remember just in sitting, out, sitting, breath by breath, moment by moment. Try to feel like being a scientist looking down through a microscope, observing an experiment, observing this life force going in and out of the body. In sitting, out, sitting. Just letting go of your thoughts. Just let your thoughts come and go in the back of the mind. Just keep the breathing body in the front of the awareness, like you were looking into a full-length mirror, just watching the body sitting and breathing. Try to hold the outline of the body in the mind's eye. The breathing going in and out in the center. Especially try to feel where the clothing rubs against the skin of your stomach, or rib cage, your chest, creating those sensations. Just feeling this breathing going in and out of the larger body. The more sensations you can notice, the less time for your mind to get bored or carried away in thought. Especially with each out breath, just allowing the body and mind to relax more and more into the present moment, the here and now. This breathing body, all the different sensations. Try to notice how each breath is different, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. Sometimes you feel the breathing more in the abdomen, sometimes you feel it in the rib cage or upper chest. It's always changing. You catch the mind lost in thoughts, recognize it as lost. Take a deep, slow breath, bring the mind back into the body, back to in, sitting. out, out, sitting. From time to time, take some more deep, slow breaths to help stay awake, centered in the body, connected to the breathing. In, sitting, out, out, sitting. It's turning up the power of the mental microscope to notice subtler and more detailed sensations of the breathing process, or other sensations coming and going through that breathing awareness. It's understanding that this body is just made up of billions of cells, molecules, atoms, electrons, all vibrating, producing sensation, keeping this body alive. Be aware of the subtle stream of thoughts moving through the back of the mind, waiting to sneak in to steal your attention away. Stay centered in the body. When you can continually observe the body sitting and breathing, then you will be able to see the thoughts moving through the mind more clearly, to be able to let go of them. Replacing negative thoughts with the opposite, positive thought. If you know what the 5 aggregates are, just be able to identify them when they grab your attention. This is material form, this is sensation, perception, this is volition, urges, or thought. As they keep changing moment by moment. Breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. So many different sensations coming and going. Sounds coming and going. Pleasure, pain comes and goes. Perceptions, thoughts, urges come and go. Thoughts of I, me, or mine come and go. These are all just a continuous flow of the five aggregates, the body and mind, and the nature of change and impermanence. They're all just arising and passing away, floating through that space of present moment awareness. you have a good sense of things coming and going, sensations, thoughts. Just try to become like an empty house with nobody at home. There's a sensitive microphone in the house that knows, but doesn't know, cannot react or think. Space of awareness. Just let that little remaining sense of I or me, the ice cube of the ego, just melt away, fade away into that expanded awareness of the breathing body. So what sensations or thoughts are triggered off from that sound vibration? Nati janam apanyacha panyanati ajaitu yammi janancha panyacha siri nibbana santiki. There's no concentration without wisdom, no wisdom without concentration. One who is both concentrated and is wise is close to peace and freedom. And thus spoke the Buddha. I'll finish this meditation and invite you to join in chanting the word sadhu 3 times slowly. We do that chanting on the long out breath. So take a deep breath. Breathe. Breathe. Now mindfully place your hands at the edge of your knees. Take one more deep breath as you breathe in. Stretch your head back. Pull the hands against your knees to arch the spine. And on an in-breath, lift the head up. And on the out-breath, press the chin to the top of the chest. Stretch the neck vertebra. Lift the chin up level on an in-breath. And relax on the out-breath. Put a smile on your face. Okay, friends, so this brings our evening meditation to an end. As I always say, that mindfulness should never end. We should endeavor to practice mindfulness in our daily life. So next week, as I mentioned the topic we'll be going over is the topic of consciousness. Consciousness is really everything. It means it has a lot of different aspects to it, conditioned as well as unconditioned. Anyway, so until then, be well, be safe, be mindful, be wise. Mindfulness today keeps dukkha away. And Namo Buddhaya.
Bhante, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Bhante.
Bhante.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Bhante.
Bhante.
Everyone Saranai.
Everyone said it.
Thanks, Amy.